This week on The Destination Angler. What do you hear from your clients when they catch their first, 15-pound trout down there? What do they typically say?
Well, some people kind of like they think that they are screwed for life in terms that they and and some people kind of like there was a guy that did a video last year that to one very long time client. He has caught many fish of over 20, and he was fishing with a guy for the first time. And this guy, I think the last day or so, he caught a 20-pounder. So he was ecstatic. He was very happy. And so his friend Gary, he told this client, said, "Well, man, I think you are for life."
Because what? You'll never catch another fish like that?
Yeah, and also because he became completely addicted to. We say he got the Strobel virus.
And that was Lucho Alba on Jurassic Lake. Hey, if you like the show, be sure to subscribe to catch all the Destination Angler episodes coming your way. And please share the podcast with a buddy. Thank you. Welcome to the Destination Angler Podcast, the podcast for anglers who travel. And I'm your host, Steve Haigh. We go right to the source, the local guides and experts, to build your knowledge of top fishing locations around North America. It's a big world out there. Now go and fish it.
I'm going away for a while, but I'll be back soon. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hey anglers, welcome back to another episode of The Destination Angler, brought to you by Got Fishing, crafting world-class fly fishing adventures specially designed to your level of experience and budget. And by Trout Routes, the #1 fishing app, helping trout anglers avoid the crowds and explore new public water. Download it in the App Store today and get 20% off using promo code DESTINATION20. By Adams Built Fishing Gear, the trusted source for quality fly fishing gear built to last at an affordable price. And by Angler's Coffee, fueling your next cast with amazing coffee delivered to your doorstep one batch at a time. Up next on the Destination Angler, we are in search of big chrome on the Grand River in the great state of Michigan. Then we head out west for some off-the-beaten-path fly fishing on the Conejos River in southern Colorado. And be sure to backcast to catch the last episode where we tame tides, rips, and currents on the Cape Cod Flats with expert guide Patrick Cassidy. Patrick shares some stories of striped bass, false albacore, and bluefish on the fly, along with great white sharks and surf fishing till your arm hurts. You won't want to miss these shows. Buenos Dias, 2,000 miles south of Buenos Aires, deep in the heart of Patagonia, lies a remote and pristine lake famous for wind rocks and prehistoric-sized rainbow trout, considered some of the largest in the world. That's right, our destination is none other than Lago Strobel, otherwise known as Jurassic Lake in Patagonia, Argentina. And our guest is Lucho Alba, owner of Estancia Laguna Verde Fishing Lodge. Lucho explains the allure of this distant location, how in the world these fish grow to such enormous proportions, along with tips and how to land giant fish with more moves than Lionel Messi. Stick around to the end for a great story of a chance encounter with some hitchhikers, a nasty girlfriend, and a birthday like none other. Buckle your seatbelts and check your backing, folks, because you're in for a wild ride. Let's hear from Lucho. Vamos! Lucho, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Steve. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, all the way from, you are where today?
Oh, I'm in my hometown, Santa Rosa, the capital of province of La Pampa, in the center of Argentina, very much the center of Argentina.
I got you, La Pampa. And I was reading up on that little area, and you're kind of known for stag hunting in that province, aren't you? Ranches and stag?
Yes, very famous, ranches, big properties, and, very famous also for red stag. They were introduced in the mid-1800s or so, and they really did very well here. And you could say that La Pampa is very much the capital of red stag in Argentina, a very important destination for hunters from different countries. Yeah, very, very important. So, yeah, we do some cattle ranch and big game lodge as well here, yeah.
So you could take me red stag hunting if I wanted to go.
Absolutely, yeah, very welcome. You need to be here March or April, any March year. Yeah, that's the peak of the season, the rat. So it's a great time, yeah. Also
March, April. All right, that's opposite. Okay.
Yes.
And those stags were imported from Europe, is that right? Years ago?
Yeah, they were brought to Argentina by a very wealthy Spanish kind of like businessman that came to Argentina to do business, and he came to La Pampa and thought it was great to have his own kind of like private park and and hunting lodge, and so he built this very nice castle, and he brought a lot of game from Europe, like I don't know red stag, wild boar. So he was the one that introduced all those animals to Argentina, and then they they spread to different locations.
Did they?
They adapted, but he was the one. The name is Pedro Luro. Luro's the last name.
How about that?
Yeah. So he, for example, he built. So you had the railroad. Same as in the U.S. The railroad was developing in those years, and so he had his own railroad system to access his
Why not?
ranch. Incredible.
Yeah, build your own railroad. Okay.
Yeah.
Guy had some cash, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very, very wealthy. Yeah.
All right, but all right. So today I wanted to touch on red stags, but really we're going to talk about Patagonia and this world famous lake, Strobel Lake. But Patagonia is reading up on Patagonia. It's for a lot of my listeners are from America. It's the size of Texas, folks. It covers parts of Chile and Argentina, 260,000 square miles. Okay, it's a huge part of the world. And from what I can tell, the biggest rainbows in the world are in Strobel Lake, also known as Jurassic Lake because it looks prehistoric, at least from the pictures that I can see. I'm assuming that's why they call it Jurassic Lake. And because they've got these gigantic trout down there. And we're going to get into that and about the lake. Gosh, I read the lake is 40 square miles. That's about the size of Disney World in Florida for us Americans trying to figure out what's 40 square miles looks like. It's big. And we're also going to talk to Lucho about why these fish grow to such colossal proportions and how to fish for them. And anyway, so Lucho Alba is joining me. He's a lodge owner on Jurassic Lake. His lodge is Estancia Laguna Verde that he and his dad bought in 2008. I think there's a story there. And we got hooked up through one of my partners, Got Fishing, who I guess sends you some business. Is that right?
Yes, Brian Oakland, the owner and main guy in gut fishing, yeah, good friend, and sends a good business to us. And but besides that, we have a very good relationship. Very nice guy. So many thanks to Brian for hooking us up.
He is a good guy, that's for sure. Let's just start like broad speaking. Like, tell us about Patagonia. Like, it's one of those places that I bet is on every angler's bucket list. Now, whether any of us get down there is a whole nother story. But what is the attraction to Patagonia in your mind?
Well, Patagonia, is quite a vast, big region, and it's divided commonly in 3-4 main areas. You have northern Patagonia, which was the one that kind of like got started with fly fishing, and in the old days, Billy Pate, Joe Brooks, and many people, from the U.S. and Europe would come, to fish, famous rivers there like Chimawin River, Limay River, and such. And yeah, they would come, of course, great fishing. But besides that, Patagonia in general is an area with not a lot of population, very beautiful, and you in a way you feel really kind of like surrounded by incredible locations, and of course great fishing, in many places. So northern Patagonia would be similar in looks, like maybe Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, kind of like Rockies, and then Central Patagonia has a mix of that with some more like high plains or plateau. And where our lodge is, which is considered Southern Patagonia, it's more high plateaus, and really big skies there, really big skies, and high plateaus, and a lot of big bodies of water, especially, big lakes, as Strobel Lake is, but other ones as well. And then, of course, you have way down south in Argentina, you have the island of Tierra del Fuego, very famous, for the sea round browns or sea trout, as they are called. So also Tierra del Fuego will be the fourth region of Patagonia, also very famous. And same thing. Tierra del Fuego has parts like looks more like has a lot of forest and very wet, with other parts that are plain, and very very dry. And that's where the Rio Grande is. So it's a very much a very slow river, that goes into the ocean, and of course gets the very famous sea trout, that come from the ocean there.
Okay. Are there just hundreds and hundreds of rivers to explore in Patagonia? I got to believe there are.
Yes. Yeah, you have, I've been fishing since a rather young kid, with my father, a very passionate angler. And well, I can say that I have fished a lot of Patagonia, but I have a lot of places that I would like to go. And so it's almost endless places and locations and rivers and lakes and creeks. And you can go. And then, of course, you have another thing, which is in Argentina, Golden Dorado, which is in the north. So then
Yeah.
you have more fishing to do. But, talking about Patagonia, for sure, you have, lots and lots of rivers and lakes, small creeks, spring creeks. You have a large variety of waters, but also on kind of like how the structure. From really kind of like pristine rivers to like spring creeks. You have a lot of variety, which is
Okay.
amazing.
Is it all private, or are there some public national areas you can go to?
So Argentina, waters in general are public, so it's many similar to the U.S. legislation.
Yeah.
Part of that was in a way copied from the U.S. legislation. So you have rivers that go through different properties or even different provinces. Our provinces, which would be your states, those are public, but those rivers go through private property. The access to those then becomes almost impossible unless you are floating that river, float fishing in some. So it depends on rivers on the size. Some rivers are okay to be, floated with a raft or a boat, while others are not allowed for float fishing because of different regulations, usually related to the size of the river. Okay.
Okay.
So, like for example, we are Strobel Lake. The lake Strobel, or Jurassic Lake as the nickname, and the only tributary is called Barrancoso River. So basically, 4 properties surround the whole lake. So you could say it's virtually private, although the lake itself is public. Okay, because the access would be through private land, so that in a way impossible to do.
So you'd have to get a parachute and a float tube to get
Yes.
in there if we didn't.
You can try with a helicopter, but then sometimes can be windy there, so you can choose. You have to choose the day very well.
Then they'd have to figure out how to get you out of there without
Yes.
trespassing. I think I'll just go through you. That sounds a lot easier.
Yeah, that's better.
So here's some things I was reading about Jurassic Lake, some adjectives I found. Tell me what you think of these. Mars-like, windswept, remote, rugged, pristine, unbelievable. What do you think? Is that a good list? How would you describe it?
Totally. One expression that I always kind of comes to mind to me, I say, or my definition would be harsh beauty. I don't know, kind of like it's beautiful, but at the same time very harsh. Sometimes, in a way, it's a beauty that it's not the kind of like more picture perfect. Kind of like the beautiful picture you see, sometimes in magazines. It's more like rugged, as I say, like Mars, as some people say. But it's also very, very special. And for me, that I've been going to Patagonia since a little kid, almost since I was in my mother's tummy.
Is that right?
Yeah, for me, Patagonia, it's about also being alone, being, in places that no one else is there. So every time I go to our lodge, I enjoy going fishing by myself, and kind of like usually you come with, sometimes I'm doing a lot of office work, and then I like to go there and really takes away all the stress very fast. So yeah.
Now is it kind of semi desert? Because I don't see any trees down there, and you're like, for Americans, you're about the latitude of like the Canadian border in Montana. So there's plenty of trees in Montana, but down there you don't have any. I'm wondering, is it a desert?
Yeah, it's quite dry, but also it's a high plateau, quite windy. So, but also very much volcanic area, lots of rocks, lots of basalt area. So that's why in a way it doesn't have much trees except very, very kind of like short bushes, not real trees. We are not in the Andes mountains. We are like maybe 100 miles to the center of the province. Okay, so we are right at the foothills of the Andes. So in the part of the Patagonia we are at the foothills of the Andes, you do have some forests, but our area is very much dry and not many trees. A lot of rocks though.
Yeah, everybody I've talked to who goes down there talks about the wind. Tell me about the wind.
Well, the wind usually, yeah, it's a windy region. I mean, Patagonia in general is windy, but
Yeah.
southern Patagonia and Tierra del Fuego, of course, take the first places for sure. And usually the wind kind of like follows kind of like a pattern. You have a few days of strong winds and then comes down, and then so goes up and down. And
Yeah.
but yeah, sometimes you can have several weeks of strong winds, but some other times you can have several weeks of very, very calm conditions, and so, but usually in a week you get a mix of a couple of days of rather strong winds with a couple of days of not so much and a couple of days with more calm conditions. So it's like a mix
Huh.
of things.
Can you get out of the wind? I know you've got a couple of different ranches down there. Could you change where you are based on where the wind's coming from?
Yeah. So one thing we did when we started with the lodge, we, as my father and myself, both fly fishermen, very passionate, and one of the most important challenges was to develop more and more areas to fish, more and more areas to access, and among those, you wanted to look for protection for looking for bays, to be fishing, with protection, but also with the wind on your back. And so, yeah, over the years, we have developed quite a large network, of small roads and trades. So to access, so we have like very, very much several bays that you can access and fish. Even in very windy conditions, you can even fish no problem, with the wind on your back
Yeah.
on the side. So, but yeah, sometimes can be challenging, of course, for casting. But once you kind of like, the saying, the wind is your friend. Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that.
When
but,
it's in your back.
yeah, but yeah, if it is on your back on the side, you can get a pretty good cast. Sometimes not pretty, but you can get it out there. And also the clarity of the waters of Strobel is very much very, very clear waters, very, very clear.
Yeah.
So you can sight fish a lot. So even in windy conditions, you can spot fish. And so for me, that's one of my favorite things of Strobel is the sight fishing part, which I find very similar to saltwater fishing. For me, I find a lot of similarities. And myself, I try to fish the same way as I would be fishing, I know in Cuba or Mexico, same thing, I try to sight fish, and try to intercept fish or cast to usually fish cruise, or sometimes they school in locations, because of food and other things. So for me, that's one of my favorite, besides, of course, the most notorious, the size of the fish, but my favorite would be, sight fishing for a cruising fish, or that's my kind of like my way to fish it.
Okay. And is the wind, do the fish respond to the wind? Or do they like a little chop on the water or?
Yeah, usually you are always, kind of like asking for no wind, and then no wind comes, and then you're, a little bit of wind will be good,
Yeah, right.
because, with no wind, when it gets glassy, very, very, very calm, which happens, all of a sudden, the fish, can spot you very far away. Even because of the water being so clear, even the line in the air, sometimes spooks the fish.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you can. It's very nice, but at the same time becomes really challenging, and of course, which is part of fly fishing, which is, we are always looking, fly fishermen in general, we enjoy challenges. I think that's one of the reasons,
Yeah.
I think, fish, to have challenges and improve our game. So I think that, a little bit of, you could say the perfect would be a little bit of a chop, like mild winds. That would be ideal. That's the perfect.
Mild winds.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, is it too windy some days where you're like, look, we're not going out. The wind's 60 miles an hour. We're not doing it today. Or do you always go?
Oh, yeah, we go and do it anyway.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I only remember a few days in our, our lodge has 18 years. We started the season number 18 this year. And I remember only a few days that we have not fished. Because the bays give you protection. So even in very windy conditions, you can go and fish. Of course,
Okay.
sometimes gets, that's on a very windy day, it's hard work, but it's a part of the challenge, and
Yeah. Here's Brian Oakland, founder of Got Fishing.
There's really no reason for an angler not to use Got Fishing when everything we do for you is free. We have the best trips around the world. We only work with the best outfitters, and we're definitely going to get you the best deal and the best dates guaranteed. That's why we have clients come back time and time again. We have Don with us on this trip. This has been his 6th fishing adventure with Got Fishing. And I think if you asked him, it is because of all the little things. We don't tell people, we ask questions. What is it that you're looking for? What would be most important to you? Who's coming with you? What's your experience level? And really at the end of the day, what is the most important aspect of this experience that you're looking to take home? And then from there, we just marry them up with some of the best lodges, let them take a look at 2 or 3 different options and pick what's going to be best for them.
Well, there you have it, folks. A pretty good case for choosing Got Fishing for your next big adventure. So what are you waiting for? Give Brian a shout or visit gotfishing.com. Do you struggle finding new trout streams to explore? Tired of stumbling around country roads looking for access points? Looking to escape the crowds? Then look no further, because Trout Routes has meticulously mapped and classified over 50,000 trout streams covering the entire lower 48, including 350,000 hand-curated public access points marked and ready for you to explore. I'm a huge fan of Trout Routes because they make it so easy to explore new trout waters. Many times, Trout Routes has helped me find new public water and get into fish fast. And the good folks at Trout Routes have been busy this winter making Trout Routes even better. Enter Stream Cards 2.0, the latest iOS release that brings together more info at your fingertips by organizing data like stream flows, access laws, nearest fly shops into easily accessible tabs for every river and stream in the app. And now you can check real-time stream height and flow rates with river data from stream gauges and compare those with historical data to spot trends. Pretty cool, huh? Planning a trip? Well, you'll love the advanced filter features that let you hone in on top-rated streams, boat ramps, camping spots, and more. So what are you waiting for? Start exploring today by downloading Trout Routes on your Apple or Android phone. I was reading on some of these, the names of some of these bays. Monster Bay is one of them. Camelot is another one. Tell us about the lake. It looks kind of like a big circle, but give us a little bit about the lake. It's deep too, isn't it?
Yeah, the lake is deep about, maybe it's been measured at 90 meters. Not many studies have been conducted, but yeah, quite deep and very large, as you mentioned. And, you see in a kind of like satellite photo, like a circle or kind of like a round type shape, but it has a lot of little bays, and so a lot of structure, and like from sandy bottoms and rather shallow to deep spots. So it has a lot of character and a lot of different, even in just locations that are quite close, can change a lot. The fishing you can do on one place to another. So I think that's part of the appeal. And I think that's why over the years we keep trying to have more and more access, because you keep finding new places, or sometimes places become, the water levels are slowly coming down, and so it's this lake in the area kind of like peaked at maybe 5,000 years ago. Was much humid, more precipitation, and then it started a low precipitation period or era, maybe 5,000-6,000 years ago at least, and so slowly retrieving or coming down. And so in a way that changes a little bit places and locations that maybe one year are great, and maybe the next year not so much, and then they come back. And so I guess fish find because of food and other things, they can really, maybe you can see a lot of fish in certain places one year, and maybe the next one not as much. I think that has to do, I guess, with the conditions or food and such.
Okay. And you all have what, three ranches there? Two of them you take anglers to. Tell me about. So you're kind of, you can go most places on the lake right now, it sounds like.
Yeah. So for the four properties, or estancias, as we call them in Argentina, a big ranch, big property is called estancia in Argentina, and we own one of those, and we lease to our neighbors two. So in a way, we access 3/4 of the lake, and then we access most important part of the Barrancoso River, the main tributary. We also access, and it's in our estancia. And then also we have 12 different smaller lakes in the property. Not as big as Strobel, but nice size lake or small lagoons, you could say, which have quite interesting fish. It's a kind of like a side attraction, but many people enjoy going for an afternoon or a morning and get something different.
Okay, so lots of options there then. And you guys have built some roads to get around, but no railroad tracks yet, huh?
No railroad.
Okay. All right. Probably don't need a railroad now. All right. So my other big question is, how in the world are these fish getting so big in this lake? What's the deal there?
Well, one of those things that when they put fish there, I guess they didn't realize, kind of like was a little bit of a kind of like a coincidence there, but they tried to do something, kind of started like it wasn't meant for sports, was meant for a commercial fishery, and so they
Huh.
put a low quantity of fingerlings, rainbow trout fingerlings in the river, Barrancoso River. And, I guess, after a few months, those little fish didn't see much food in the river. And so they went all the way to the lake, and they found paradise, they found, and, because it has a really good conditions, for fish, it has because of the wind, lots of oxygen, and then the water has a little bit of a high pH, so rather alkaline, but not too much. So, and then you have amazing quantities of crustaceans. You have scuds, you have copepods, and you have daphnias. Which are three different
Yeah.
crustacean family in different sizes. And so, if you pick a rock almost anywhere underwater, you will find. You turn around and you will find many scuds or copepods, and then daphnias, which are the smallest of those, usually are in the water column, and they cloud, and so
Yeah.
sometimes you see kind of like the fish do like whales, they go with the open mouth, and they are sort of like filter feeding,
Oh my gosh.
so in a way they gorge on those different, and then you have also some parts of Strobel. You have snails, for example. So certain bays you are walking and it's covered full of snails. The all
Huh.
the all the all the beach, you would say, covered with
Yeah.
snails, and then you have a lot of because of the wind. Have a lot of terrestrials that are blown into the water, and like maybe kind of like beetles, big beetles, or
Okay.
damselflies, dragonflies. You see those, and then you have more classical hatches, like midges and you see a lot of case caddies in certain parts of the year.
Huh. Yeah.
Mayflies in the lake, not so much. In the river, yeah, you see mayflies in the river.
Oh, really?
And stoneflies, I haven't seen, but maybe there are some I haven't. But that would be the main. So, but basically, the main three would be the crustaceans, scuds, copepods, and daphnias. All that would be the main food source. And high protein. It would be like kind of like almost a 24/7 supply of candy to those fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so these fish were kind of stocked inadvertently and turned into this amazing fishery. When was that?
That was in 1989.
1989.
Yeah, quite
Okay.
recent. Yes.
Yeah. And so sort of what's the history of it from an angler standpoint? When did people start going, man, there's some gigantic fish down there?
Well, it didn't happen. I mean, the previous owner of our estancia, the previous owner of Estancia Laguna Verde, his name is Cittadini. And so he tried that, and not many years later, he was going by the river, and all of a sudden saw these quite big fish, so he thought, oh, wow, this worked. And
I
he
guess so.
yeah, he told some people and brought some. He wasn't a fisherman, so he brought some people from town, and kind of like at first just local people would maybe go. It was a kind of like it's a remote location, and the roads were in those years very very bad, so it wasn't something that you could let's go and maybe for a half an hour. It would be like it was an adventure to go there in those years.
Yeah.
So well, a few people locally started kind of like fishing and getting to know that there were pretty big fish there, and maybe by early 2000, a little bit more word got out, and then by 2005 or six, the company called Loop, Loop Tackle Company, they make rods and such. So they started like kind of like a camp, there. Was called Loop Camp, and so they were doing a combo trip, with sea trout fishing in the Gallegos River in the same province. And so then kind of like that's when it became popular, outside Argentina, but in Argentina it wasn't known. It was known only by a few people locally, and so it was very much something that nobody knew. But then after that company started promoting mostly in more Europe than Argentina, in the US and such. we started in 2008, and well, in a way, by different, of course, that was when YouTube was becoming big. So YouTube, social media, and well, all that helped really put the name out there, and for a good reason, because the fishing, it's very much impressive,
Yeah, I'll say. Hey anglers, if you're on the hunt for fishing gear that's as tough as you are, look no further than Adams Built Fishing Gear. Since 2014, Adams Built has been the go-to choice for anglers who demand quality without breaking the bank. Their lineup of lightweight waders, high-quality nets, and meticulously designed fly boxes is second to none. But here's what really impressed me. Adams Built stands behind their products like no other. Every single item is guaranteed to last. Yep, you heard that right. And get this, Adams Built waders even come with a lifetime repair or replace guarantee, with you only paying for shipping. Now that's a deal you can't beat. So why settle for gear that won't last? Make the smart choice and gear up with Adams Built Fishing Gear today. Ask your local dealer for Adams Built or visit www.adamsbuiltfishing.com and tell them Steve sent you from the Destination Angler podcast.
We are a coffee company. It's quite literally what gets us up in the morning. The smell, the taste, the ritual.
It's been a long time since I left you.
At Angler's Coffee, we take care to ensure that the beans we use are the highest quality, ethically sourced and chosen to be delicious from the roast to your cup. French press, drip, pour over, espresso, or steeped, we have something for you. Come taste what we've been up to. You deserve it.
If it seems I've lost connection, don't send letters and don't pick up the phone.
Be sure to use coupon code BREW20 for 20% off your first subscription order. I'm wondering, is there natural reproduction in here, and do the fish kind of cycle? They get really big, and then there's fewer and fewer of them. Have you had some ups and downs in the fish populations and the sizes?
So you have quite a large body of water, Strobel Lake, and rather small, only tributary, So it's a closed system. It has an inlet, but that doesn't have an outlet, okay? And so during our spring, from September, the fish start spawning, and it has successful spawning in the river, and that's why it only had 2 times that fish were put there, in 1989, the first one, and then the previous owner of our estancia, he did the second one in 94. That were the only 2 times.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that fish were put in, and then from then on, in a way, nature took its course, and what it happens is that being a very large body of water, with very limited spawning places in the river, that has kept the population very much stable, and so we haven't seen like other lakes that sometimes people talk about. Well, they go bigger, and then all of a sudden they tip over, as they
crashes.
say, and crashes. And no, so the theory and some studies show that because of the rather limited or difficult spawning locations, and at the same time the large lake and other conditions make it quite difficult for that to happen. And so we see pretty stable. You see fish on different sizes, which is good. If you see only big fish, that's not a good sign of a fishery.
Right.
And so you may catch like a very small, like maybe half a pound fish sometimes, but most times you are catching fish over 3-4 pounds, like quite commonly, and most times you are catching fish usually 7-8 pounds on a pretty normal. So at first you catch a 7-8 pounder and you take photos, and then after a while you are wanting to catch a bigger one, and so that's when all of a sudden someone catches a 8 pounder and thinks, oh, that's small, and then
that's small. 8 pounds is small down there, huh?
I mean, it's not a small, like it's just like you get a legit shot at catching a 15 pounder or even a 20 pounder. Doesn't happen every day, but for sure you have a very, very important chance of catching fish that go over 15 or 20 pounds. But
Man,
if you catch a double digit rainbow, it's a very good fish anywhere.
I'll say. All right, so walk me through a typical day. Like you get up, have some breakfast. What time do you get out there, and what kind of happens throughout the day?
Well, you have the lodge, 8:30 usually is breakfast, so, we have people sometimes get up earlier and maybe have some coffee that's always available there. But then, yeah, 8:30, we serve breakfast, you can order eggs and all those things. And then 9:30, the guide is waiting for the clients. So we fish one guide every two anglers with a truck. And so, they have, all the rods and all the equipment ready. So basically, the guide is waiting for the clients. So as soon as they are ready, 9:30, we go fishing with the clients. And you usually depends on the weather, the wind, as you mentioned, and other conditions. That's where they are going to be fishing. And so according to that, they are you plan the day and you go with that strategy. But at the same time, sometimes maybe things are happening on one side of the lake more than other. So we have radios. All the guides have radios and communicate. So everybody kind of like is hearing what's going on in different parts. And so sometimes say, hey, I was going over there. So sometimes we move and change locations. The idea is always to be fishing very much, not in crowded areas. So in a way, it's always, one, your guide and two fishermen, maybe sometimes in bigger places, it's four, but we don't want to have any combat fishing. It's not like everybody's in one place. That doesn't happen, Yeah.
So you spread out.
Yeah, part of the appeal of Patagonia is that, being fishing, by yourself, enjoying that solitude that,
Yeah.
for me, that's one of the most important things and one of the things I like the most.
Yeah. Okay. So so you start at 9:30 and then you fish, then you grab a short lunch, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we have different places that we have set up, like lunch places. So, with protection and table, and so if it's raining or too windy or whatever, you can go there. But also our guides, many times they cook, they cook lunch, we have everything set up for, it's not like they take 5 hours to cook, but usually they do, they are good cooks. And so as, clients are, kind of like relaxing a little bit, having some wine or drinks or whatever they're drinking, guys cook like a short lunch, in those places that are set up, so you are comfortable with the table, you are sitting, kind of like protected if it's windy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do different typical Argentina meals, usually, a lot of beef, of course, available and things like that. And then, yeah, you keep fishing. And also, well, lunch, it's planned according to the fishing. If things are happening, sometimes you push lunch a little later. So you take advantage of, or if things are, or if the opposite is going on, maybe if things are going slow in the morning, you maybe move lunch earlier. So then you can fish the afternoon, and usually, rainbow trout, and the waters are quite, cold. And so usually fish tend to be more active from 11 to 5. That's more, unlike, for example, brown trout that tend to be active at the beginning and at the end of the day, because of light, because of the food available at Strobel, fish tend to be more active with the high sun, because, with the sun, the scuds are out, so you see them more. And as very early or very late in the day, kind of like things quiet down. So we've tried fishing all sorts of times, but always comes to high sun, and that's when it fishes better.
Yeah, because when you said, all right, breakfast at 8:30, out by 9:30, I'm thinking, how about breakfast at 7 and I'm out by 7:30? But it sounds like the fishing is better if you wait.
Yeah, so sometimes, we, at the lodge we have a lake which is called Verde Lake, Green Lake, and so some people, for example, before breakfast they go out there and fish, the lake by the lodge, and
that'd be me.
Yeah. So in a way, then return, and grab breakfast and then go fishing with their guys. So that's something, we always tell the guests that very welcome to do that.
All right, and then back to the ranch at dinner time, and people relax, get something to drink. Maybe what goes on there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, usually by 7 p.m. you are returning, from the fishing locations you were fishing, and so maybe half an hour later in the lodge, and so always appetizers there. We have a very nice bar. Very very well set up, and full of different drinks. And so we prepare from cocktails, but also my father and myself, we are very much wine fanatics. So we have quite a big wine cellar, in our estancia. So we have a lot of wines. So part of the experience is to enjoy also different Argentina typical food, as well as more international dishes, along paired with very nice wines of Argentina. Like the regions of Mendoza, for example, the most famous. And of course, people that like wine, the most famous wine in Argentina is the Malbec grape. Malbec,
right.
Very famous.
Had some the other day.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, we have plenty of nice wines from different parts of Argentina. And in a way, the idea is to show someone coming to the lodge kind of like a whole experience, not just fishing, but also, typical food, enjoy kind of like being part of our culture, and showing the guests our way of, living and
super cool
life in a way. Yeah.
There's a guy attends my church from Argentina, and I was telling him you and I were going to be talking today, and he was talking about the Argentinian people, just how friendly people are. It's kind of your thing, isn't it? That what do you how would you describe Argentinians? I know there's a lot of different types of people, but in general, what would you say?
I think that that's quite accurate. In Argentina, especially maybe big cities, and especially Buenos Aires, maybe that's a little lost. But as you go into the interior of the country, people are very friendly and very open, and they are very welcoming, and to invite you to their home. And
really,
Argentina, for example, is known for doing a lot of food cooked with fire or coals. What we call it an asado. Basically preparing beef or meat by the fire, and so usually a very welcoming thing. As you have friends coming to your house, or someone even you just met, but it's very typical, especially in ranches and such, to invite that person to an asado, to a barbecue, very much right away. It's a part of that welcoming someone, and so we do that once a week, because of course it tastes well. In the south, we have very good lamb, and so you do the lamb at the cross, set up there with fire, but also other different meat, but also part of showing someone our appreciation, and part of how, and it's nothing more than doing what we normally do with our friends, our family. That's very typical of Argentina. So I would say that Argentines in general would be very friendly and welcoming to especially someone trying to show them a good time. I think that's very true. Yeah.
Super interesting. Yeah. And let me see. So my daughter was in Buenos Aires, just loved it. She was there a year or two ago. And I've heard wonderful things about that city. And then you are like, how many miles is Strobel Lake from Buenos Aires? It's a couple thousand, isn't it?
Yeah, a couple of thousand, yes. About 1,000, 2,000 miles or so, yes.
2,000. Wow.
Yeah, maybe even a little more than that. But 2,000 would be a pretty good estimate, yeah.
So people fly to Buenos Aires typically, and then get on a smaller plane, and where do they go from there to get to you?
Yeah, so you fly to Buenos Aires, and then you connect to a town called El Calafate. El Calafate is a very nice southern Patagonia town, and has a very famous glacier there, Perito Moreno Glacier. So many people go there to Calafate just for the glacier, and there are a couple national parks there that are very famous as well. But the main attraction of that town is the Perito Moreno Glacier. If you Google that name, you will find a lot. It's very, very much spectacular. Huge glacier. That you can get very close, and you can access also other glaciers that are really impressive. It's called glacier, similar to you have one in Montana called Glacier National Park. So it has a similar name. So this one would be Glaciers National Park. It's a plural, but in a way, same thing. Lots of glaciers to see. So you fly into El Calafate. Usually people come in on a Friday, and they try to visit the glacier. That's something we always recommend. Visit Perito Moreno Glacier if you can, because it's spectacular. If you are there, why not check it out? And then on Saturdays we pick up guests, early in the morning with our van and transfer to the lodge. That's the usual. And then 1 week later we take them back to the airport of Calafate. So it's an airport that has maybe 10, 12 flights per day, which is For Argentina, it's a lot of flights. For the US,
Yeah.
not so much.
That's a lot, though. I would think that's a lot for a small town out in the country. I want to ask you about the Barrancoso. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. You've mentioned it a couple times, but the one river you've got, the Barrancoso River.
Yeah, Barrancoso River, yes.
Yeah, and once again, I've seen some names about some areas: Bay of Pigs, the aquarium, and I've seen some video of what goes on up there. So you take anglers up that river sometimes, like in the spring, or when do you go up
Yes.
there?
So Barrancoso River, has two main prime times, you could say: early season and late season. Because of the spawning. So October, November, and December, and even including early January, it fishes really well. So usually when you are in the estancia, part of I wouldn't say each day, but many days of the week, you are going fishing to Barrancoso. Yeah, you can do, for example, you do the morning in Barrancoso and the afternoon at Strobel, or the opposite. Depends on each pair of guests. And we do other program. We call it the river walk program. So we do, for example, the upper section to the mixed section, and you can do a full day of the river walking. Which, so for people that enjoy river fishing, you can, do a lot of that. So most time people are mixing it up. They mix it some days at Barrancoso in the morning or in the afternoon, but also they do like half and half. Half a day at the river, half a day at the lake. So in a way, that's how it usually plays in early season, as we call it. And then,
Okay.
Our summer, like would be January, February, March. Usually, you can fish the river, but doesn't have as many fish as it has in early season. And so, more about, you can go there maybe for a half a day and a couple of times a week. If someone enjoys, side fishing for a few big fish, which is still great, no?
Yeah, yeah.
For me, that's one of my favorite times to fish it. But it's not a numbers game then, But still, it's a small river, but has the chance of catching, maybe 10, 15-pound fish any day. So that's saying a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
In a small river. So
Yes.
out on Strobel, like what's a typical day, fish numbers wise and size?
Well, sometimes you hear people talking about numbers, and it depends, of course, the time of the year or of angler skill.
Yep.
So we always kind of try to depends. Maybe if you get 10 fish per day, that's a pretty good day. Of course, sometimes it can go over that, but I like to be more kind of like not a pump up a number that then it's
And then be disappointed. Yeah.
yeah, but also I think that depends a lot on many different things, like like conditions, angler skill, how are things. Fishing is not the same every day. Even you can go to the same place and one day it's on fire, the next day, like any other
It's called fishing. Yeah.
location,
I
it's
get you.
like would work one day, maybe it doesn't work the next one, and so on. So yeah, I would say 10, 12 fish per day. It's a nice day, and of course, sometimes you can go over that, but sometimes you may get 5, 6, 7 fish, which is still
Yeah.
for the size of fish you're catching, is still a very nice day.
So you may be out of those 10 or 12 fish, you may be getting quite a few that are in the 6, 7, 8 pound range and up, or is that common?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, usually you tend to catch fish, 6 pounds or bigger, and have a chance of double-digit fish any day of the week. And of course, sometimes you get into those really big ones, like 15 pounds or more. And then of course, So at our lodge we have, kind of like we have, a book of catches that we write down there. Each trout that is being 15 pounds or more. So it's for a record keeping. In a way to keep
Yeah.
records on what's going on the lake. And in a way do comparisons season after season, but also it's part of kind of like the history of our property, and so we have clients that have been coming fishing with us for the past 12, 15 years, and so they enjoy going back in the book, and kind of like find their names there, and maybe what flight worked in that particular year and what time they were there. So that's very nice also, kind of like to in a way find out, okay, what was the fishing, in 2009, and so in a way it gives you an idea of things, and well,
Okay.
I mean, it's looking pretty stable in numbers.
Yeah, that's great. If I were to come down there in in a good time of the year. I mean, what are the odds of me hooking up with a fish in double digits? Is it a couple a week or what?
Yeah. Sometimes you can say more than those. Maybe I would say maybe you get a chance to catch maybe 10 double-digit fish. Sometimes maybe less, maybe. But like I said, sometimes those bigger fish. We always tell guests that in order to play with those fish, you need to really have everything perfect. Like for example, you had a knot in your leader. Well, if you're playing with a very big fish, a 15 pounder or even a 20 pounder, well, maybe your leader breaks, and so then you check and you have a knot. Or for example, hooks. We always tell guests it's very important, to have the best quality hooks and very strong ones. Not always, the commercial flies are tied, with hooks that really hold. So you have you are playing nice fish, and then all of a sudden, it gets away. And when you bring your hook is bent just a little, but that means that it opened enough so the fish get loose.
Yeah, right. Well, let's talk about, what have you learned over the years about, hooking and fighting and landing big fish? What are kind of your top pro tips about that? Strong hooks.
Yeah, of course, like being very, for example, many of these fish, they can take you into your backing, and sometimes quite long, And so, for example, before coming, it's important to kind of like unspool all your backing. Because usually, as fisherman, you have the backing kind of like something you have there.
Yeah, I'm in my backing like once a year if I'm lucky,
Yeah,
trout
okay,
fishing.
exactly. And so all of a sudden you have a fish, especially those big chrome fish that you see in Strobel, that they take you into your backing like maybe 50, 80 yards, no problem.
Wow.
So if you have kind of like some sort of, a mess there in your backing, all of a sudden means that all of a sudden your reel stops and you may even lose your line, for example.
I hadn't thought of that. So you're saying that if I haven't been in my backing ever, that there may be like a knot in there, kind of like it's crisscrossed. And
Yeah,
it's just
exactly. Yeah, like maybe overlapping, a few turns there. And so, it's important. Yeah, you can like unspool your backing, maybe 100 yards, and then spool it, very carefully.
Yeah.
So it's very, very tight. And so that's something that we always suggest. And then, having, lines that have, the loop that is in good conditions, because sometimes those fail, after several years, or if they were not well taken care of,
Right.
Then of course, leaders we use, 20-pound test leader, and we prefer to use fluorocarbon. Fluoro, in our opinion, holds better, and the rocks at Strobel are quite sharp, and so sometimes you get a nice fish and you touch your leader and it's all scratched, and really in bad shape, because those fish, they take you to those sharp rocks, and sometimes they do get you. And so having 20-pound fluorocarbon of the best quality possible, any of the top brands would do it, no problem.
So 20 pound, that's your tippet, is a 20-pound tippet.
Yes,
is that right?
Exactly, yes.
Wow. Are these fish leader or line shy, or they're line shy probably, but are they leader shy, tippet shy?
No, it's only when it gets, sunny with low wind conditions. Yeah, you may need to go, smaller than maybe 15 pounds. So in a way, as we say in Argentina, it's a short blanket. You cover your chest, you uncover your feet.
Short
So
blanket. Okay.
yeah, you go thinner, but at the same time, you are at the risk of getting cut. But well, I would take that chance.
So if I just landed a big fish and he was rubbing me on some rocks, is your guide going to check that tippet and Gary, I feel some cuts, cut it off, tie in something new? Do you do that all the time, all day
All the
long?
time,
after?
all the time.
Do
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, and
Okay.
all our guys. So we buy before the season. We buy a lot of leader, of a top brand, and so all our guides have plenty of leader material. So they even do it themselves. We trust the one we have. So when they are setting up, the rods with the client, they do it, and as soon as they land the fish, or even maybe they saw the client, maybe casting to the rocks, and so on the back cast, maybe smash. So they will,
behind him. Like boom.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes when they see that, they will ask the client, hey, let's see your leader just in case. And so sometimes you smash it in a rock, and either your fly or the leader is not in great shape, or you did not. So they would change it right away, because those are the things that big fish, they check each part of your tackle. That experienced anglers that becoming fishing with us for a long time, they become more and more obsessed with those little details, because if you look at those big fish landed, I think that, I don't know, at least 50% of those are lost, because of those conditions. And so, well, I would say when playing big fish, paying attention to all those details, like making sure your backing is well wrapped, that your loops, loop-to-loop connections in leader to fly line and fly line to backing are in very good condition. You check them, that they are strong, they are in good shape. And then, of course, your knots, usually we use for the fly, to leader or tippet, we use open loop knots,
An open loop, okay.
Yeah, non-slip open loop. So you have different ones that you can check.
Yeah, why do you use an open loop?
Because you are using 20-pound test. So if you have an open loop, the fly has more action. It's more alive.
Okay. It won't steer it so bad.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then when playing a big fish, playing a little bit with your drag, so it kind of like as you are playing the fish, maybe put it a little tighter, and also another thing I like to do is, in a way, similar way to you do with tarpon, if the fish is going to the right, you put your rod to the left, and I like to play it with a rather low rod, not a high rod, but more, unless there are rocks in the area that you want to keep your hand very high, so in a way unless you have a situation like that, then I like to play the fish to the sides. So in a way, try to make the fish lose a little bit of balance, and I think that tires the fish faster. That's
okay. Do these fish get on the reel right away just because they're taking line so fast? Do you kind of recommend getting them on the reel?
Yeah, if you can take. Yeah, I mean, it's important to kind of gain control of that fish, but sometimes you've got one of those big fish that are strong, and sometimes they start slow. So it's kind of like they don't know what's going on, and so you see, oh, it's coming easy, and then you just.
And then they go,
you tell the angler, no, just wait and be alert, because it may take off anytime. And so, they come quite close, and then all of a sudden they take you all the way to the back and fast.
What is the fight like then from one of these bigger fish? The rainbows, assuming they come out of the water.
Yeah, usually they tend to jump. From a couple of times to sometimes you see fish jumping. I don't know, 10 times. And
wow.
Of course. And sometimes you see fish, kind of like tail walking, like Atlantic salmon do, the tail walk. So
yeah,
I remember a long time ago, a very good friend of mine, a good photographer, he took a photo that there was a fish tail walking, so you could see in the photo three flashes, and the fish was doing the fourth, in the air.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
What do you hear from your clients when they catch their first, 15-pound trout down there? What do they typically say?
Well, some people kind of like, they think that they are screwed for life in terms that, they, and some people kind of like, there was a guy that did a video last year that one very long time client, he has caught many fish of over 20, and he was fishing with a guy for the first time. And this guy, I think the last day or so, he caught a 20-pounder. So he was, ecstatic, he was very happy. And so this friend, Gary, he told, this client said, well, man, I think you are for life.
Because what? You'll never catch another fish like that?
Yeah, and also because he became completely addicted to, we say he got the Strobel virus, So, of course, he booked again for this coming season, a very nice guy.
He's back.
Yeah, his name is Duke, yeah.
He probably doesn't want to fish these fantastic rivers we have in the U.S. anymore, because he's spoiled. Screwed for life.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, I think that, of course, it's great to fish. But I think that in my case, I haven't lost my love for fishing any waters. And I think that, I love fishing at Strobel, and it's great to catch big fish. But I also enjoy fishing with a 3-weight fiberglass for, a 10-inch trout. I love that. So I think that, of course, it's nice to catch big fish, and Strobel, probably ranks very high on that. But at the same time, I think that fishing, it's enjoyable in many different situations. I think that in my case, I haven't lost that at all. I enjoy fishing for any type of fishing in.
Have you ever met an angler who doesn't want to catch a big fish? I mean, people will say, "Oh, I don't care about catching big fish," and I get that, because it is fun just to go out and have a nice day. But I don't know. I kind of wonder about that.
Yeah. Yes, I think that you're right. I think that, yeah, you may hear someone saying, I don't care about, but when it really happens, then you see
care.
that they really
Yeah.
care. Yeah.
They're caring a
not
lot. By
Yes.
I would be hooping and hollering if I had even a 10-pound rainbow, a wild rainbow, like tail walking, I would be just hooping and hollering. And then to catch a couple of them in a week, that's like, wake me up. I'm dreaming.
Yes. Yeah. I think that for me, of course, having the chance of being there a lot of months every year, yeah, of course, size, I'm always enthusiastic about it and I enjoy catching the big fish. But, for me, what stands out the more at Strobel is, trying to catch those fish, sight fishing. I think that for me, that's one of the most interesting things because, I enjoy a lot fishing saltwater. So I find it very similar in a way. So you are kind of like fishing in a way, saltwater style, but for trout, in cold water. So for me, that's something unique. I haven't seen that. I've been fishing a long time in Patagonia, and until I went to Strobel, I never saw those conditions.
Yeah. So walk me through just briefly. How are you sight fishing in a lake? So you've got sometimes waves, and it looks like you're always waiting. No boats, is that right?
So we always fish with wading boots and waders, because the water is very cold. And many times you are fishing from outside the water, but sometimes you are fishing, I know, knee deep or ankle deep water. You very rarely go waist deep. That's unusual. Only in a few places you will go all the way to your waist. Most times you are just, with your boots in the water. But many other times you stand on tall rocks by the water, so in a way you can see better, And so many times you are waiting for the fish to cruise, or you spot action or movement, you see a tail splashing or jump. So in a way, the guides are all the time, trying to spot fish.
Okay.
Waters, and something that as as the day progresses, similar to when you are fishing in the ocean or in salt water, the same thing. Your eyes learn, and so you start to pick up little details or a shadow or a flash of a fish. But you can sight fish a lot because the water is very clear, and many times the bottom gives you contrast, so you can sight fish quite a lot. Even in windy conditions, sometimes you look into kind of like each wave is like a window to the water, right? So as you have a wave coming, it kind of like gives you a window to look into.
Yeah,
deeper.
right.
So in a way, every time the wave comes in, you pay attention, and sometimes you see the fish there because the water is very clear. Usually, if you put a good cast there, the fish at least will take a look. I mean, it's not like every cast, but yeah, you see many times, or you will see the reaction of the fish. If maybe you put a good cast out there and the fish didn't move at all, okay, time to change the fly or something wasn't right there.
You're trying to lead that fish, so you're watching him. You're trying to stick it out in front of him. So what is a foot or two in front of his nose by the time he gets to it, or?
Yeah. So different systems, are used. Like for example, lately, we started having, as you get clients from all over the world, you see different techniques that work, which is very interesting from the fishing point of view. And kind of like I would say in the last 5-6 years, balanced leeches became really popular, and they are extremely effective flies. So usually either below a dry fly or an indicator, it's a very good way to present the fly because let's say you see a fish cruising, so you cast kind of like ahead of that fish and let your fly, sink in more or less where the fish is going to go by. And so either he pays attention to the dry or the dropper, the balanced leech, and of course, because if you have a little bit of a chop, that fly that is a balanced leech is kind of has a very very nice action, coming up and down. So I think it really puts something. Also, you have kind of like if you are, if you play with the depth of the dropper, you can put the fish exactly at the water level that the fish are cruising mostly, and so that's one of the keys there. Not just the fly, but also where you are fishing the fly.
And that changes daily or hourly? How often do you adjust the depth?
The guide will always be paying attention. And so sometimes you are spotting fish, but for some reason they are not taking. And so in a way, yeah, something is not right there. And either maybe you are fishing too deep or too much up in the water column, or maybe the fly is not working. Sometimes, a slow retrieve works very well. So for example, British anglers, British anglers are really good fishing still waters, and they use what is called the figure of eight or hand twist. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah,
that way.
sure.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's very good because you can go really slow, and fish at Strobel are not used to chase things.
Yeah.
So scuds all those don't move very fast. And so usually they are eating almost at slow pace, because they know the food is not going away like a minnow or
right.
And so usually we tell guests, okay, when we tell you to go slow, think you are going slow, and they go half that speed of what you think is slow, because usually,
is that right?
Yeah, because usually you think you are going slow, and actually you are still going too fast. So usually we tell, okay, you are going slow. Okay, go half the speed of that that you think is slow, and usually slow works better. Occasionally, stripping a big fly like a leech or like an intruder type of fly, stripping it fast sometimes works, but most times it's slow or a kind of like a almost dead drift or a dead a balance leech hanging at a certain height.
What other flies what are your top confidence flies, would you say?
Well, balance leeches, like black chartreuse, olive, those are really effective for sure. Then scuds are also very, very effective. And then a few nymphs like the pheasant tail, a classic, but works very well. Usually you have a bead head, so it sinks fast,
Yeah.
And of course, tied with very good hooks, very strong hooks. You want strong hooks. And then for dries, my favorite, I like a lot the parachute Madame X. That's one of my go-to flies. The PMX,
Madame X.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the parachute version, the PMX,
Sure.
The PMX, one of my favorite for sure. The one that has all peacock body. The Royal Coachman one works, but the whole peacock, that's the best for me. And then there's another one called the Chubby Chernobyl. I'm sure you know that one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the Chubby Chernobyl. And then another one we like is called the Gypsy King. All kind of like big floating, flip flops. You say big floating flies.
Gypsy King. That's a new one. I've not heard of that one.
So yeah, Gypsy King is also a very good one. And the Chubby Chernobyl and the Gypsy King work very well. Also, because they float very well. You can see them from a distance. And yeah, you want a fly that you can see from. You put a cast. Maybe the wind is moving or the currents. Strobel Lake has important currents. Even if it's not windy, you have currents that. So your fly line and your fly are moving usually. And so you want a fly that you can see very well if it comes down or just does something that maybe a fish taking your nymph or your leech. Okay, so that's important. Yeah.
How fast do these fish grow down there?
Quite fast. I was mentioning that not a lot of studies have been conducted, but there's an estimated of about 2 pounds per year of growth of these fish.
Really?
Yeah, which is quite important. Yes, because of that, because of different characteristics. You have the rather high pH, the temperature, the oxygenation of the water, and the large supply of high protein food. That makes for a very great combo for fish growth.
Right.
Maybe they gain 2+ pounds per year.
Man, that's unbelievable. So you may, like an 8-pound fish, 4 years old. I mean, do you ever recognize something like, we hooked that guy last week? Do you ever, recognize fish? Or do you think these fish are onto you guys sometimes? Like they've been hooked before and they're getting a little smart.
Yeah, I think that, fish, like any fishery, they learn. And I think that, over the years, some fish kind of like, get, I wouldn't say leader shy, but, they pick up things that maybe in the past they didn't. Or, you change the strategy because, you see sometimes that, the fish learn, and what worked maybe a month ago, maybe not working anymore.
I just wonder, I had a guy once tell me every time you hook a fish, it gets 1% smarter. So
Yes.
I don't know if that's true or not. But
No, but I agree. I think that the fish, even if they are not hooked, they kind of know if someone is there. And then I don't know, the distortion, the commotion in the water, the noise. I think
Yeah.
that they pick up not just being hooked, but in a way things are not normal. Yeah.
yeah, all of that. Yeah. So this isn't easy. You actually have to work for these fish. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
In the early days, people kind of like have the impression that Jurassic Lake was kind of like an easy fishery, but I think that it's a place that you actually you need to earn the fish, but also yes, occasionally you have chances of catching large quantity of fish, but many other times you really need to work very very hard, and it's also because of the weather conditions, and I'm sure Barry Beck, a long time photographer, and so Barry
Uh-huh.
always says that Jurassic Lake or Strobel Lake, he considers it the Everest of fishing, because he
Is
says
that
that
right?
because he says that it puts together a lot of different challenges for anglers, and so in a way he says it's the Everest of fishing because of the
Yeah.
those challenges, but also in a way when you get it right, the price it's amazing. You
It's a
have
big
the
fish.
chance of
Yeah.
catch several fish of a lifetime.
What weight rods you're using?
We use mostly 8 weights, like 9, 10 foot 8 weights are the most common. Of course, the 7 also good, especially for the river. And sometimes, of course, the 9 would do as well. And 200 rods for anglers that are used to fishing those can be a good one. Yeah. So good for windy days. Not when you are having calm conditions, 200 rod, because of the all the noise it creates, it's not good at all. But when it's windy or like bass where you're casting with the wind on your back, I think a 200 rod can be useful. Yes, if someone is used to fishing those, it's a good one. Yeah.
What about a double haul? Would that be helpful to know that?
Yeah, I think that's very, very important. Our guides, besides being very good guides and experienced, they are good instructors. And one thing that they try to teach anyone if they don't do it, the double haul. I think it's important for any type of fishing. Learning to double haul, I think it's useful as an angler anywhere you go fishing.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree, especially with all that wind. All right. I want to hear this story because you told me this a while ago about how you ended up buying this lodge. And I think it involves some hitchhikers, an angry girlfriend you nickname Assface. Is that right?
Yes.
And
Well, it's a long, long story.
yeah, let's hear it.
As I mentioned, I always like to fish and travel to Patagonia. So a friend of my father, he has a very beautiful house in the north part of Patagonia, and so he told me if I wanted to use his house during the summer in January because he wasn't going till February. So I always went there, with him, my father. So I went there with some friends there. So we were having a great time fishing every day, having nice barbecues. But at that time I was in a relationship that wasn't going that great. But my girlfriend then, he called me and said that she was coming to visit me, and I said okay. So I went to pick her up, but I got late to the bus station, so she was already pissed at me, late. So it didn't start that well. But when we returned to the cabin, my friends were gone. They didn't like her that much, She was a bit of a pain, and so in a way I wasn't happy either because I was having a great time with my friends, and all of a sudden, my ex showed up there. But anyway, so the next day I went with my girlfriend to fish, and this area is quite close to the border with Chile. And so, as we are going by border patrol that you go by to some lakes, and I see a couple of hitchhikers, doing the usual, thumbs up, they're kind of like trying to get a ride. So I told my ex, hey, I'm going to pick up these hitchhikers because they are fly fishermen, because I saw the rod tubes sticking out of the back.
Oh yeah, all right.
So I saw that and said, I'm going to pick up these guys. And my ex says, no way, it's dangerous and they are dirty and blah, blah, blah. And so just to piss her off, I stopped to give a ride to these guys. And so they were a couple from the US, and, they tried to speak some Spanish, and they immediately saw my rods. And so, I started speaking some English, and all of a sudden we were talking about fishing and where I was going, and come with me. And my ex was really angry. She was completely pissed off, but I didn't care, And so we went fishing with, the couple are named Eric and Leaf, Eric Argotti and Leaf Arneson. And they were fishing guides and, a lot of experience. They worked in the lodge in Alaska. They were from Montana. And, one of those things that you become like friends right away, because of fishing, the common bond, fly fishing, in a way.
Sure.
Yeah. And so, we went fishing and I realized, I was a decent fisherman then, but these guys were on a different level. And for once, they showed me how to spot fish and many things that I thought I knew, but I didn't as I saw them, really fishing, sight fishing a lot and how they, like dry drop and all techniques that I had never seen before. So, we had a great day, and on the exit of those lakes that were rather remote, I left them on a camping spot that I liked and, gave them a bunch of flies. In those years, not much, you didn't have any cell phone, so we exchanged emails. This was in 2000, I think, 2002. Yeah, 2000. We continued. So I the next day I returned with my ex-girlfriend back to home. So when I returned, I sent an email to these guys.
You dumped the ex-girlfriend? You got rid of her the next day?
Not the next day, but in the next month. Yeah.
Next month. She's gone.
Yeah.
She's out here. Okay.
Yeah, she's gone. Yes.
Good job.
Yeah, it wasn't going anywhere, the relationship.
Yeah.
She didn't like my new friends either, so that was a no. Yeah. And so, I sent Eric, my new friend, I sent him kind of like my personal Patagonia fishing guide, kind of like I was very specific about places, and I knew they were hitchhiking and camping, so I was very specific. Okay, you have to go to this lake and talk to. So I was giving a lot of details on that email. And so maybe like 3 months went by, and I didn't hear from them. But one day an email shows up from Eric and say, "Hey, Lucho, we, returned from Patagonia. We had an awesome time. We checked many of the places you suggested, and we had awesome fishing, blah, blah." And so, our email correspondence continued. And the following year, they said, "Hey, Lucho, we're going back to Patagonia. It would be nice to meet again." And I told them where I was going to be, but it was very close to where I picked them up. It's just that I was kind of like helping my father do his own cabin. So I was a little bit off the road. And so I'm preparing breakfast one day, and all of a sudden, a friend of ours, Jorge, shows up and opens the truck, and here come, in his truck, Eric and Leaf,
What? My gosh.
Yeah, they had been hitchhiking in the exact same location. I picked them up 1 year before, and my friend Jorge, as a total coincidence, he just decided to pick up these two hitchhikers. And so when Jorge asked them, "Hey, where are you going?" "We want to meet a friend." "And who is your friend?" "Well, your friend is my friend is Luciano Alba, Lucho." I said, "Oh," and my friend started laughing. I said, "Well, you're very lucky because I'm going to see Lucho right now." And so, we continue fishing and continue, our friendship. And then a few years later, I get an email from Eric and says, "Hey, Lucho, I'm going fishing to Patagonia and I'm going to check a few places." And he's a photographer, Eric, besides the fishing guy. And so he was doing photos for Loop Tackle. And so he told me where he was going. And he said, "I'm going to a place called Jurassic Lake." And I said, "Hey, Eric, Jurassic Lake, there's no lake. I know pretty much all the lakes. No lake with that name." And he said, "Okay, when I return, I'm going to let you know exactly where it is and give you more information." So maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, he returns and says, "Hey, Lucho, we had the most amazing fishing of my life. It was incredible." He sent me photos of this huge rainbow trout. And he said, "Hey, I found out the real name. And the real name of the lake, Jurassic Lake, is called Strobel Lake." So that same morning, I showed the email to my father. And my father said, "What? I just showed a ranch." Because with my father, we are lawyers. And in our law firm, part of what we do, we have some real estate that we offer kind of like, as a side thing. And so we showed the previous owner of Estancia Laguna Verde. My father showed him a ranch in La Pampa, in our area. And so in a way, in that same morning, we kind of got to know one of the owners of a property at Jurassic Lake, by coincidence, through this friend Eric. And well,
Yeah.
to make the little shorter on the story, that same afternoon, we decided to, hey, let's go and check out this Strobel Lake that Eric speaks so well about. And so we called this guy and say, hey, okay, yeah, sure, come visit me and check out the lake. But I'm selling it because I had this down payment put on my ranch, and so he had someone that was trying to buy Estancia Laguna Verde, and this guy put money there. But anyway, so we showed up there, and we had an amazing time. I always remember the date, because the day we showed up there, it was 22nd February of 2008, because 22nd February is my birthday, so I will never forget.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So the first day ever at Strobel was my birthday, and so well, we got there and we got to fish. Strobel Lake, Barrancoso, some of the smaller lakes. We were with my father. We were completely, ecstatic. We were completely excited. And on the way out, we were talking with this guy, about maybe trying to buy the place. And that's when he told us that his deal that he had received down payment kind of went south, had failed. The guy didn't come through with the money, and so we got there in the right time, because he was decided, he was committed to sell, but his deal went south, and so he was more flexible with us. And so after all that, that was February, and by May we had acquired the property.
Really?
And by December 2008 we started the lodge. So that was the first season.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. All right, so how did you feel when you were down there at Jurassic? Like, what was that? What was the emotions that you felt when you were there for the first time?
Well, it's something that still to this day I have sometimes, but those days was much stronger, which is, when you are in a place that you feel really, really alone in the world, and it's like you don't see anyone for miles, I would say. And in a way, it kind of like a strong feeling for me, you feel that, you are there, really alone in the world, and you are there, with the elements, with nature, and you are interacting there. And kind of like almost it's like a meditation type of thing, you are there and you're fishing and you don't think about anything else other than fishing and enjoying what's around you. And so kind of like that was but I always get that in Patagonia, but I think that at Strobel, at Jurassic, because of kind of like everything is bigger, everything, you feel really, really strong about that, you are kind of like gives you a little bit of a, sometimes even scary if something happens, or I'm far away, kind of like, but I feel it as a really strong and pleasant feeling, of enjoyment, and, but also kind of like peaceful, and that's why I say kind of like a meditative or meditation type of thing, because you are so like, you get like in a zone, you are fishing, you are concentrated on fishing and nothing else, When I'm not doing that, I miss it a lot. That's one.
Yeah. Where's you down there right now? This is your season. You're up in La Pampa. What are you doing up there?
Well, I was there, for the start of the season, and now my father is there. Yeah, with my father.
Oh, your dad.
Yeah, we fight to go there.
Okay.
We have
tag
fights.
team with him. Yeah. So, all right. So you were completely prepared to run a lodge back in 2008?
Very much no.
Yes, all right.
No, we were very much passionate fishermen, passionate anglers, but no experience at all with lodges. So we started, we have this small construction company, and so two of our partners are architects. So between the four, we did, kind of like plan, to build the lodge around what was there, which was the old Estancia house, So we kind of like work around what was there, because, very difficult terrain, very remote. And so, over the years, I would like to think that we have learned, and improved our game, our skills of running a lodge and improving it. And, I have to say that, many people have been great with us, from guests that give you, like constructive criticisms, suggestions, tips, and also like agents, that tell you, I don't know if you know Mike Mercer, for example, Mike Mercer from the Fly Shop, one agency. Mike Mercer, very accomplished angler and very experienced in the travel world. And one time he told me about, photography. I amateur photographer, right? So I do decent photos. And one day I sent him photos, and Mike told me, "Hey, Lucho, these are very good amateur photos. What we need is very good professional photos. And
Oh,
no,
he was
that's one
being
of
nice. Yeah.
one of the best advice I've been given, because he was totally accurate, in a way to showcase your destination, your lodge. You need to show it in the best way possible, and
Professional
for
photos.
professional photos. And so Mike is a great friend and really nice person, and besides also an amazing angler. But he told me, that about the importance of having quality photography and quality video, and so I think that's been an important part of showing how it's Strobel, Jurassic, how is our lodge. So I think it's been helpful through the years.
What's it, Lucho? What do you think is the most important skill you have to run a lodge like this?
Well, I think that one important thing would be, to find the right people to work with you. I think it starts, my opinion, with the people. From your partners and how you are as a company. The people that do it, the owners, but also the people you find to work with you. The guides, your staff, like chef and maybe manager. I think that you can only be as good as the people that work with you, and in a way, important to kind of like pass along, feeling pass along the same passion you have for the place. And I think that luckily, we hear many guests talking about the hospitality, or people feeling they call it home away from home. Those comments I find that are very, very important to have, because I think that of course you travel the world to go fishing, but besides that, we have a very good client that says that fishing is actually about the people, not the fish. And
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and a good friend of mine, Clem Booth, from South Africa, he always says that, and I think that he's right. He thinks that of course you go to catch that very big rainbow, or you go whatever, but you go to catch that tarpon, that bonefish. But besides that, you only return to places if you feel also, kind of like welcome, and
yeah,
that bond that happens, guide and fisherman, or the lodge, or the vibe of the lodge, or the owners, or whatever. I think that those are the ones that really get you attached to places. So luckily, we have quite a large repeat clientele, maybe 50-60% people that return every season, and which is great, because you develop friendships, and maybe you see someone once a year, but over the year you are talking on the phone, WhatsApp, or any sort of communication you want to use.
right.
But you really look forward to those weeks that you have someone that you've been seeing for a long time, and I think that's really, for me, that's one of the nicest things.
Yeah, I bet your customers look forward to seeing you too.
Yeah, that would be very nice, Steve. Yeah, we're very, very welcome. Yeah.
Okay, how much of your success in this do you attribute to your dad?
Well, I would say a lot. We are similar in certain things, while in other ones we are very much different. But it's great because we do a lot of brainstorming together, and we are both very much active. And so I think that my father, with a much larger experience than me, in his life, because of age and other things. Well, I think that he comes with experience. And in my case, I'm the one that kind of like trying to get new things going, and so I think that back and forth, it's very productive. That one of my favorite things with my father is we brainstorm a lot. So when he's in the office here, we get together and we are for hours talking about ideas.
Oh yeah, oh cool.
Yeah,
yeah,
incredible as it may sound. We both practicing lawyers, and for some years we practiced together, and we never had one argument about law practice, but we've had our worst fights. We've had them about the most stupid things of the lodge, like one wine, yes or no, for example. Yeah. So no, this wine is a piece of shit. No, I love it. So we have the most stupid fights for anything of the lodge. And my only explanation, or my only idea why that has happened, is that we're both very passionate about fly fishing, but also about these lodges, kind of like our babies, and so I think that when you're passionate about a place, you really become, sometimes angry, or obsessed with details, and sometimes with that comes conflict.
It sounds like there was just a whole bunch of coincidences that led to you even being in position to buy this thing on that day, and then working with your dad, who was a passionate angler. You guys have really, this is amazing what you've accomplished down there. I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you, Steve. Yeah, looking back, I find it kind of almost feels unreal. I never in my life thought I was going to be involved. I was a passionate fly fisherman, but never thought in any way I would be, having, running a lodge or experiencing lodges or, something that feels almost unreal. But very much when we started, in 2008, almost like we didn't give it a lot of thought. We just kind of like saw it as an opportunity, but also interesting to do, and we just went for it. And kind of like one thing led to another one, and incredible. You look back, 18 years, and since we started, for sure it was a very much a life-changing experience, and it still is. It's amazing. Yeah, we love it. For sure, we love it.
Okay, 1 minute on food. Your favorite shore lunch. You talked about how your guides will pull people into these shelters and cook them. What's your favorite shore lunch?
Well, one is called, in Spanish, bife would be a steak. Criolla would be criol. Criol means like a local or sort of like gaucho type. So steaks at la criolla, criol steaks, or in Spanish, bife a la criolla, that the guys cook, that's one of my favorites for sure. That's number one. Yeah.
Okay. And then tell us about the food at the lodge at nighttime. What's one of your favorite dinners you guys prepare for people?
Well, for sure, one of the most important ones, the weekly asado, with lamb, at the cross, and a few other whole meat cuts, that's one of my favorites for sure, because I really like, the lamb, in Argentina is good, but in the south of Argentina, because of the grass, for me, it's the best I've tried. It has a really very nice flavor. And people that come from other parts that eat lamb frequently, they find it, that the taste is really special. So that's my favorite. And then on Fridays, we do what we call empanada night. Empanada is like a pastry filled with beef or chicken or prepared in different ways. And so, empanada is very typical of the interior of Argentina. Different parts of Argentina have their typical empanada. So we do as a kind of like a goodbye night, where everybody's there. We do the empanada night with many different empanadas, and people also enjoy that one. And those are also my favorites.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Oh my gosh.
I had the record for empanadas. I think it was like 15 or so in one night. And we had a guest. Yeah. Last season we had a guest, maybe he was with his father, 20 years old or so. We talked about empanadas. I said, well, I have the record. I think it was 15 or 16, and he had like 20.
20, did he?
Yeah.
Really?
So he sent me a video of him eating number 20. It was great.
He guy needs a prize for that one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Lucho, thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much for having me. A pleasure. And you are very welcome to visit whenever you like.
Would love that. Would love that. How can people get in touch with you, check out your website or something like that? How do they do that?
Well, they can check, Estancia Laguna Verde, estancialagunaverde.com. That's our webpage.
Okay.
Yeah, you can also reach us or see us on Instagram or Facebook to the same name, Estancia Laguna Verde. And you can also see there a lot of the latest news, videos, catches, and what we do at our lodges every day. Okay.
Very good. Very good. Well, I wish you extraordinary success in all your adventures to follow, and I'm sure there will be many. And folks, thank you for listening to another episode of The Destination Angler, and we'll be sure to post Lucho's contact info, his website, and whatnot. And hopefully, Lucho, maybe you can send me some pictures of some of these amazing fish you're catching, and maybe some of those fly patterns and whatever the name of that dish was you just described. I kind of want to see a picture of that.
Yeah, we do for sure. Yeah, we'll send you that.
All right, very good. Folks, you can DM me or email me your comments and suggestions at shaig@destinationanglerpodcast.com. Would love to hear from you. Please drop me a line. Hey, if you like the show, please share it with a buddy. As always, our music is by our Brothers Fountain, a really cool little band out of Colorado. And if you like the show, please give us a share, like, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget, we're on YouTube now as well. Tight lines, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you.
Well, I'll go from the land to the shining sea. But I know
There's more to life than what the eye can see.